My name is Kutaigo Carey. I'm with my partner Trang. Hi Trang.
Hello.
And we have a third member in our group, Huizong, but they are on a different time schedule, and their VPN wasn't working the best that it could in order to be here for this recording. So we're going to present our presentation on the institutions of mental health and the institution of family, and which includes all of our work. So we're at the introduction.
Okay, here's the introduction about a mental health institution and family. So there's a lack of awareness of the damaging effects of negative emotions. A happy family where each member is cared for is good for mental health. However, negative emotions in the family will inevitably lead to a loss of harmony among family members and harm to their mental health. This will affect the life of every member in the family. Students are a special group of people who are at an important stage of physical and mental development. With a change in mindset, especially with the studies, interpersonal interactions, employment, and self-awareness, different psychological problems are encountered. This may lead to students becoming depressed and rebellious. If we can identify unhealthy psychological activities early, we will be able to avoid some risk.
Awesome. Now we're at our timeline.
Here's a timeline of mental health parity in the United States. So in 1996, Mental Health Parity Act, which established new federal standards for mental health coverage offered by group health plans. Mental health parity describes the equal treatment of mental health conditions and substance use disorders in insurance plans. And in 1999, at the first White House Conference on Mental Health, President Clinton announced mental health and substance use parity in federal employees' health benefits plan. And then moving on to 2002, President Bush stated support for mental health parity. In 2003, the new Freedom Commission on Mental Health's final report recommended mental health parity. Lastly, in 2008, Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act passes.
Awesome. We're going to go to our first slide of research and data.
Okay, for the first slide of research and data, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 1 in 5 children and adolescents experience a mental health problem during their school years. During the ages between 16 to 25, mental health difficulties likely to be at most acute. More than 80% of patients agreed that mental health conditions had a detrimental after effect on the family.
Now we're on our second research and data slide.
For the quality of family structure can affect well-being in individuals growing up, leading to associated with rates of hospitalization as an indicator for behavior problems in children. More than 150 patients admitted to the pre-adolescent unit at Lincoln Perry Behavioral Behavioral Health Center gave results that
Totally.
continue.
Resume recording. Incredible.
Okay. That only 11% came from intact families living with biological parents versus 89% experience disruption in the family culture. Two-thirds reported being exposed to trauma, with 36% reporting physical abuse cases. More than 70% reported either a parent or a sibling with a psychiatric disorder. And then evidence showed that children coming from biologically families were less likely to have been exposed to trauma. Children from single or divorced families were less likely to have been exposed to sexual abuse, but more likely for a diagnosis of ADHD. Strong association was found between exposure to trauma and certain diagnoses in respect to hospitalization.
Awesome. We're on the next slide.
Okay, now moving on to the importance of mental health. So mental health is important because it's a vital part of your life and impacts your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Being healthy emotionally can promote productivity and effectiveness in activities such as work, school, or caring for an individual or multiple individuals. It plays an important part in the health of our relationships and allow us to adapt to changes in our life and cope with difficulties. There is still a great misunderstanding about those who are suffering from mental health issues. Many people believe these people are making excuses or being lazy. Some consider these people are crazy, possessed, aggressive, and dangerous. These are harmful descriptions that people assume due to lack of understanding. So developing knowledge about the issue will likely to decrease the misunderstandings. The knowledge of mental health also raises the likelihood of early intervention that can lead to a rapid recovery, as well as remove harmful phrases to characterize the people with mental health. Moreover, mental health is simply related to the personality as a whole of a person. The fifth point here leans more towards younger adults and adolescents. If they are able to maintain a healthy mind, it will improve their body image and increase self-esteem significantly. Moving on to the last point. Doing our research, we came across a saying that goes, no health without mental health. So we think that mental health indicates that not only having a positive sense of how we think, feel, and act, which improves our ability to enjoy life and be productive, but also contributes to our inner ability to be self-determined.
Awesome. Thank you. And finally, we have the mental health continuum.
Here is the chart about the mental health continuum. This model is inspired by Canada's The Working Mind. The 5 zones are in crisis, struggling, surviving, thriving, and excelling. Let's go over each one. So first of all, the in crisis zone means a person is in state of great suffering and needs immediate help. Their emotional pain may be so unbearable that they want to take their own life or have suicidal thoughts. Symptoms include severe anxiety or depression, or even both at the same time. People in this zone tend to have difficulties functioning ordinary tasks such as personal hygiene, eating, and sleeping. They may just stay in bed all day and avoid all social contact. In the struggling zone, people feel a lot of anxiety that life becomes miserable for them. And then mood can be so low that they feel it is hard to do anything well. And concentration is poor and energy is low. In this state, they may feel pain both emotionally and physically, or they even feel hopelessness and empty. And usually the thoughts are negative. The next zone is surviving. This zone is not a severe state of distress, but it can indicate problems that could get worse. So it requires action. Thoughts may be more negative than usual. Appetite and sleep may be affected. It will be harder to concentrate on work or other tasks. For example, a poor night's sleep makes us feel tired and grumpy, but then we falsely blame our irritation on another person. Like we get annoyed with coworkers or our significant other over some minor things. And this leads to conflict or unhealthy and toxic relationships. Second to last zone is thriving zone. People generally feel okay in this zone, but they're not necessarily completely free from conflicts, but in, but basically calm and steady. Whatever worries or annoyances that they face, there is usually coped with fairly well, and they don't make us feel like unsettled in the long term. Last but not least, the highest level of mental health continuum is excelling. This can be at a time of great joy or fulfillment, like a major personal success or achievement. This is also when we are performing at our fullest potential. And this could apply to an interest such as art or music, but it also applies to work. It's simply the more often someone is in this state, the better job their the better their job outcomes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Moving on to another part of our presentation here, we wanted to talk about interpersonal relationships and how they affect mental health. And basically, it ties in with family, the institution of family as well, because being raised is how you kind of create the blueprint for your interpersonal relationships in your life. So your interpersonal relationships within a family background can carry a large weight that can influence younger individuals as they grow up to create mental blocks and responses to familiar negative family trauma or interactions. From a medical standpoint, interpersonal relationships refer to given social and emotional interactions between the patient and other persons in their environment. Almost every mental disorder is accompanied by problems that may occur within conflicts in these areas, which are family, social, work, religious, and sexual. But as we all know, we all are raised by our families, so each of these areas revolve around what the individual might know about each of those areas from their lives growing up. Another thing that we wanted to discuss was the types of family relationships that are linked to well-being. So there are marital relationships, there are gender differences, and that can simply be a father and a daughter, a mother and a son, or the other way around, however that goes. And race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status heterogeneity, which has to do with distinct views, basically, distinct views that family members might have. Intergenerational relationships, a child's relationship with their parents, and then a child as they've grown into an adult, their relationship with their parents and themselves, reflecting on their lives, and their relationship with their grandparents. And there are sibling relationships that are very important as well. So the quality of all these interactions are significant for a person's well-being. Poor relationship quality can create the feelings of intense obligation to be the caregiver for your family members, and marital dissolution can all be negative stressors, adding more weight to an individual, especially a growing individual's mind and body. We wanted to talk about stability and support, which are important factors and inhibitors basically for a person's mental health well-being. So when a family's relationship is stable and supportive, individuals suffering from mental health issues or disorders may be more responsive to treatment if they feel that they're being heard and supported about their problems. Companionship, kindness, emotional support, and even economic support and assurance can all carry a positive impact on someone coping with a mental health problem. An individual suffering from mental health issues can see and appreciate all forms of support, whether it is required intense familial support or a simple, continuous smile, having a set of open ears that will listen to you, and even helping them out with their normal daily tasks or helping them out with transportation. These are all positive things that can help a person out and basically create a form of stability and show them that they are, assure them that, they're safe within their family. In terms of negative family relationships to the right, we can read that increasing bodies of research prove that negative family relationships can cause chronic stress, leading to anxiety, impacting your mental health, and even affecting physical health, as we've established already. Family comes to us as a feeling of obligation, which can sometimes never feel like it's going to end, which can turn an individual's heart and mind to an anxious stage of chronic worry about their family members' well-beings, their needs, and basically the role that that individual has been placed in within their family context. That role could be, a caregiver. That role could be, a delivery person. You like to pick this up to do this for that person. And sometimes the individual might feel like their own needs aren't being heard because they are simply in that role within their family. Finally, we want to give you guys a bit of what we want you to take away from this. So in 2021, right now at the moment, grown children and grown adults, they might tell you about whether or not their mental health was a worry or a question while they were growing up. And they'll most likely tell you that it might not have been something that was on their mind or their parents' minds. So grown parents can tend to lead their lives straightforward, interacting and moving forward, whether the interactions were negative, positive, traumatizing, or heartwarming. But teenagers, young adults, grown children could all be a bit more impressionable, and they could all comment that their aspirations might have at some point clashed with their families and it's caused them distress. One argument that's common is the topic of mental health, is that it's never an easy thing to discuss with loved ones. Therefore, it's often never discussed or addressed, leaving the individual to just stay dormant in crisis. What we wish for our audience to leave with is that the acknowledgement of our mental health is our first priority in this world, and if we want to continue down a clear path, we have to be able to understand it. It is more than okay to mention when you're feeling anxious, struggling, or even if you feel like you're suffocating with stress. Grown individuals might acknowledge that their families didn't give as much regard to mental health or courtesies like normal reassurance, complete support, understanding for family members' wishes and passions, and our general loving platform within the family. So we wish to show our audience the ideas that they might have already come across in their lives and show them that with the right knowledge about providing assurance, kindness, love, and support to our family members, we can better the next generations to come. This is our presentation about our institutions of mental health and family.